Okay, Charles, we're good to go.
Okay, so before we start the meeting, I would like to read a land acknowledgement. The land on which we meet has been here from time memorial. People have inhabited Southern Ontario for about 10,000 years, and we acknowledge the neutral people, also called Attawandaron, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee, people who lived here when settlers arrived and who shared this land with us. May we together learn to care for and respect each other, our flora and fauna, and the land we inhabit together. So I remind the committee and members of the public that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the township's YouTube channel. This meeting is being held electronically due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Precautions and measures are in place regarding social distancing to ensure the health and safety for those in attendance at the municipal office. Anyone registered to participate in this meeting will be invited to speak in the order of the applications being heard. I will now do a roll call of the committee for the benefit of the public watching this meeting. When I call your name, please wave at your camera and say here or present. I, Charles Zeidler, am present and chairing the meeting. Committee members and staff, Jim, who's not here, right?
Oh, hold on. He's just popped in here. If you want to just give it a second.
Absolutely.
If you want to do the others and then we'll catch up with Jim. Perfect.
Okay, so Tim Cronin.
I'm here.
Linda Dixon.
Present.
Hans Potcamper.
Present.
And Jim Brewerly, you're here?
I'm here.
Awesome, we see you. Then we have David Gundrum, who's our planner.
Present here.
And Nancy Thompson, the recording secretary.
Present.
I will now provide an explanation of the procedures for this meeting. Each application will be read by Nancy, and she will ask each applicant to make a brief presentation, not to exceed 10 minutes. The committee will be given an opportunity to question the applicant. Any other person who has registered with the recording secretary and is wishing to address an application, either for or against, will then be given the opportunity to speak. Please make sure you have turned on your microphone and video and identify yourself clearly for the recording secretary. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the committee will make a decision on the application. Once decision on your application is complete, please mute your microphone and turn off your video. At that point, you are free to leave the meeting or remain and listen to the balance of the applications. The applicants are advised that each application has a 20-day appeal period as required under the Planning Act. The last day of appeal for the applications heard today is November 9th, 2022. At this time, I will ask if any members of the committee, if they are declaring a pecuniary conflict of interest with any of the applications.
No.
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 No, and myself, no. Okay, so Nancy.
Perfect. Thanks, Charles. So this evening, we're going to start with the sign variance committee applications. And just to note that the sign variance applications are not subject to the appeal period as noted. The first application this evening is sign variance application 3/2022 for Skyline Retail Real Estate Holdings, Inc. for the property at 315 Arthur Street South in Elmira. The property is zoned service commercial C7 with site-specific provisions and contains a commercial development. The applicant is requesting relief from section 10.6 for fascia signs of the sign bylaw to increase the maximum sign face area from 10% to approximately 15% of the wall to which the sign is to be attached. The proposed sign will be a new fascia sign for one plant. The applicant is not able to attend this evening's meeting, but David did have some comments with respect to the variance applications. David?
Yeah, Nancy, I just wanted to note for the committee that this application, the noted condition has been deemed redundant. And I would just advise that as a correction to our report that we're not recommending it be approved to the subject condition.
Oh,
So David, sorry, Linda, you can go first.
no, you go ahead. You've got a question. I was going to make a motion.
Okay, I just, it's still the staff is still recommending it be approved, just not to the condition number 1.
Through the chair, or that's correct, Chair Zeidler.
Thank you. Linda?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to move the sign variance application SV3 2022, Lovett Signs on behalf of Skyline Retail Real Estate concerning the property known municipally as 315 Arthur Street South, to request relief from Section 10 regulations of sign bylaw 32-2015 to permit the establishment of a fascia sign having a maximum sign area of 14% of the wall to which the sign is attached on the subject property in the C7 zone be approved.
Thank you, Linda. Do we have a seconder for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Hans. So all those in favor? And all those opposed would be none. So,
Thank you. I'll email the recommendation out to the applicant. The next application is for sign variance application for 2022 for Living Waters Christian Bookstore, Inc. for the property at 122 Church Street West in Elmira. Property is zoned service commercial C7 with site-specific provisions and contains a commercial development. The applicant is requesting the following relief from section 12.3B for ground signs of the sign bylaw to permit the installation of a new ground sign, to increase the maximum height of the ground sign from 3 meters to approximately 4 meters, and to increase the maximum area of the ground sign from 5 square meters to approximately 6.5 square meters. The new ground sign will be located on the property in accordance with the setback provisions. And Derek Martin is here to speak to the application.
Good evening, everyone. I have no further comments unless people have questions on it, and I'll answer them then.
thanks, Derek. Do any members of the committee have any questions for Derek? Linda?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just looking to determine exactly where the sign's going to be placed on the property. Is it going to be in that grassed area on the front, adjacent to the sidewalk?
Thanks for that question. So it will be in front of the grass, so or back from the grass. I believe it's about 3 meters back. So it's the setback from the property line, which is.
I walk by it all the time, so I'm just trying to picture it, right?
3 meters. So do you know where the fire hydrant is?
Yes.
The red fire
Yes, I
hydrant.
do.
It would be set back approximate 3 meters
From
that
it.
height.
Okay. And Mr.
Yes, go
Chairman,
ahead.
I have one more question, if I may. I'm just concerned about the illumination of it, just because we've got so many residents in the area. And I did note the one comment, and that was my thought before I saw the comment, that there was a comment from a resident in the area about the lighting. I'm just wondering what kind of lighting, how bright it's going to be, just because of the concerns with blue lights and other things for just looking to see what it's going to be lit with.
Sounds like another one for you, Derek.
Good question, good concern. That will be set according to the guidelines given by the township. I believe they have a list of requirements for illumination.
Okay, thank you. Nope.
Tim?
Okay, just a question for you to the planner, to David again. Condition number 1, can we waive that condition on this variance as well?
Through the chair, Member Cronin, that's correct. That condition is actually redundant, and I would recommend that we waive that condition for any approval of the application.
Thank you.
You. And Linda, did you have another question or comment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this one's actually directed to staff, to David. So what are the guidelines for lighting of signs then in the bylaw? I'm sorry, I haven't looked at it in a while.
Through the chair, Member Dixon. So the guidelines, and this is captured in what would be condition number 2, but listed as condition 3 in the report. The guidelines and the bylaw require that illuminated signs, backlit screens be arranged such that they direct light away from any adjacent premises and streets and that they don't impact on street traffic. Our understanding is that the sign is proposed to be oriented perpendicular to the road, so there should not be any illumination directed directly onto the street or across the road to residences on the south side of Church Street. That's really the guidance that the bylaw provides. What the bylaw doesn't provide at the current time is a light intensity direction regarding luminosity during different times of day. Our bylaw doesn't get into that level of detail, but given that the sign would comply to the required setback, it would be oriented at 90 degrees to the road, and there are adjacent residential land uses, but they're set some distance away due to the amount of frontage that the property has and where the sign's proposed to be located. It shouldn't be a great challenge for the applicants to conform to the current bylaw requirements, which are captured by that condition, in my opinion.
All right, thank you, David.
Do any members of the committee have any further questions? Jim?
Yes, question to the applicant again. I've seen signs that have been distracting because they travel and you have to read them. Is this type of sign going to be of that nature?
All right, thanks for that. So that is part of the purpose of having a larger screen, is so you don't need to have scrolling text. So you can do a word and you don't need to have it scrolling to distract traffic. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
And Nancy, sorry, no one is here for against this one, sorry?
Correct. There was a letter submitted by a member of the public, but they have not joined the meeting this evening.
Perfect, thank you. So how would staff like to handle this one? Tim?
Mr. Chair, I can, I make a motion that sign variance application SV4 2022 for on behalf of Living Waters property concerning the property as part of lot 104 and part 2 on the registered municipal plan of 122 Church Street West, request relief from section 12 regulation of sign bylaw 32/2015, permit the establishment of a ground sign on the subject property having a maximum sign area of 6.5 square meters and maximum sign height of 3.7 meters in C-zone 7 be approved, subject to 1, that the subject property only permitted a maximum of 1 ground sign, and 2, the illumination portion of sign, including backlight screens, be arranged to direct light away from adjacent premises and streets and shall not impact on street traffic.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have a seconder for that?
I will second that.
Thanks, Jim. And then all those in favor? And that's everyone, so all opposed would be none. Thank
Perfect.
you. So that motion has been passed.
Thanks, Derek. I will email a copy of the decision out to you and to your sign installer.
Okay, thank you so much. You have a
Thanks.
good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the Committee of Adjustment portion of the meeting. The first application this evening is for minor variance application A19/2022 for Jim and Pauline Wilson for the property at 551 Eby Crest Road. The property is zoned agricultural and contains a single detached dwelling and accessory building. The application was deferred at the July 12th, 2022 meeting, and the applicant has resubmitted their application as follows. The applicant is proposing to construct a new 140 square meter accessory building for a home business dash tradesperson, being a well drilling company, and is requesting relief from the following. Accessory buildings, section 6.4.2C, to increase the building height for a new accessory building from 4.5 meters to approximately 5.2 meters. Accessory building, section 6.4.2E, to increase the garage door height in the new accessory building from 3.5 meters to approximately 4.3 meters. Accessory buildings, sections 6.4.4, to increase the maximum lot coverage for all accessory buildings from 112 square meters to approximately 140 square meters. And home business tradesperson, section 6.18A, subsection VI, to increase the total floor area devoted to the storage of equipment related to a home business tradesperson from 100 square meters to 140 square meters. The existing 75 square meter building is proposed to be demolished. And Jim and I believe Suzanne are here to speak to the application. There they are.
So basically just, we worked with David. David helped us find the tradesperson, whatever that's by law. And we're just hoping that, you know, we are able to do this. We spoke with the region. They're willing to work with us and they're to move our driveway. So we'll have a larger driveway further up the lawn. Our existing driveway will be gone. So the region of Waterloo's agreed to that. And yeah, so we're just looking to you guys to help us out.
Great, thank you. Do any members of the committee have any questions for them? No. And Nancy, nobody was against this one here to speak?
Correct, Charles, there's no members of the public for this application.
So I know we have a little bit of a brief synopsis for this last time. Does any members of the committee know how they would like to handle this or how we want to proceed? Linda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. I move that minor variance application A19-2022 for Jim and Pauline Wilson concerning the property known municipally as 55 EB Crest Road, requesting relief from the zoning bylaw from section, and I'm not reading everything, but section 6.4.2C for the height from 4.5 meters to 5.2 meters, 642E to increase the garage door height from 3.5 meters to 4.3 meters, 6.4.4 to increase the maximum lot coverage for all accessory buildings to approximately 140 square meters, and section 618A, is that 5, to increase the maximum size of an accessory building to a residence for the storage of equipment, vehicles, and supplies from 100 square meters to approximately 140 for a home business trade person, be approved subject to condition A and B as set out in the staff recommendation report.
Thank you, Linda. I think
second.
Hans, thank you. I think you had mentioned 55. I think the address is 551. Am I correct?
55, yeah, 551 EB Crest Road. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. So then all those in favor, we had Hans seconding it. All those in favor? That's everyone. So any opposed would be none of us. So your motion has been passed, and just a reminder that the appeal period will end November 9th, 2022.
Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll email out your decision tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thanks.
day.
The next application this evening is for minor variance application A26-2022 for Julie Heckendorn for the property at 46 Pintail Drive in Elmira. The property is zoned residential 1-unit low density with site-specific provisions and contains a single detached dwelling. The applicant is requesting relief from site-specific section 26.1.202, item 7, to reduce the required rear yard setback from 15 meters to approximately 11 meters. The applicant is proposing to recognize the location of the existing deck and permit the addition of a roof covering over the deck. And Julie's here to speak to the application.
Thanks, Nancy.
Hi, I'm Julie Heckendorn. My husband and I have lived on Pintail Drive since the mid-'80s. About 20 years ago, we purchased our second lot on Pintail, and we're not aware of the setback requirement for this side of the street. So we have had a deck that we installed shortly after we built the home. And we're just proposing to cover part of that existing deck. according to the sketch I think I provided. As requested by the planning department, we have had an arborist report. And I guess I don't think that this is going to interfere with any of our neighbors or interfere with the original intent of the official plan.
Great, thanks, Julie. Do any members of the committee have any questions? Okay, not looking like it. And Nancy, nobody was here to speak against it?
Correct. No one's here for this application.
Great, so then I would just ask the committee how we'd like to proceed with this one. Jim?
Yes, Chairman, I would like to make a motion that minor variance application A26-2022 for Julie Heckendorn concerning the subject property described as Lot 9 Plan 58M27 and addressed at 46 Pin Trail Drive in Elmira be approved subject to the following conditions.
Thanks, Jim. Do we have a seconder for that? Tim? Thanks, Tim. And then all those in favor? And that's everyone. So all those opposed would be no one. So your motion has been passed, Julie. Just a reminder of the appeal date, which is November 9th, 2022.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. I'll email out that decision to you.
Okay. Thanks, Nancy.
The next application this evening is minor variance application A27-2022 for Connie and Wilhelm Harder for the property at 18 Highcrest Lane East in St. Jacobs. The property is zoned residential medium density and contains a single detached dwelling. The applicant is requesting relief from the general regulations in section 12.5 to reduce the rear yard setback from 7.5 meters to approximately 3.9 meters in order to permit the addition of a two-car garage. The property is located at the corner of Highcrest Lane East and Yonge Street in St. Jacobs, and Mr. Harder is here to speak to the application.
Thanks, Nancy.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, maybe just turn your get a little closer to your microphone, Will, which is a little faint, but it's not,
Okay.
it's clear. That's better.
All right. So I really don't have a whole lot to add other than I have spoken to all of our neighbors and none of them have any concerns. In fact, they believe that it will actually improve the neighborhood. So that's really all I have to add to that, unless you have any questions that you would like answered.
Thanks, William. Do any staff have any, or any members of the committee have any questions? No, and again, Nancy, nobody was opposed to this one or want to speak?
Correct. No additional parties for this application.
Okay, so how would the committee like to handle this one? Linda?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman. I move that minor variance application A27-2022 for Connie and Wilhelm Harder concerning the property known municipally as 18 Highcrest Lane East in St. Jacobs to permit a minimum rear yard setback of 3.9 meters in the residential R3 zone for a main dwelling, whereas a minimum rear yard setback of 7.5 meters is required. And that be approved subject to the condition that the rooftop area of the proposed addition be constructed as an outdoor rooftop amenity area as per the site plan included in the circulation package of October 18th, 2022.
Great, thank you, Linda. Do we have a seconder for that? Hans, thank you.
Second.
And then all those in favor? And that's all of us, so all opposed would be none. So Mr. William, the motion has been passed. Just a reminder of that appeal date for November 9th, 2022.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Will. And I'll email out the decision to you.
Okay, appreciate that too. Thank you.
Okay, the last application this evening is for minor variance application A28-2022 for Brian Kurtz for the property at 1320 Maryhill Road in Maryhill. The property is zoned settlement commercial and contains a single detached dwelling and an accessory building containing an accessory dwelling unit. The applicant is requesting relief from accessory dwelling units, section 6.4.72, to reduce the required rear yard setback from 1.2 meters to approximately 0.7 meters, to recognize the location of the existing accessory building which contains an accessory dwelling unit. Brian, if you can press *6 on your phone and it will unmute. There we go.
Did I get you? Okay.
Yes, you did. Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Brian, did you have anything else to add to the application?
No, not really at this time. Unless anyone has any questions.
Awesome. Tim?
Yeah, there was a note in here that they want to confirm a building permit. Is that going to be a problem to get a building permit for this building?
Ryan?
Are you asking me?
Yes, Brian, sorry, through the
Oh.
chair to the applicant, yes, they one of the, be approved, they're recommending approval subject to a building permit certificate, and I'm wondering, where is that in the process? Is that a problem, or how are you?
No, it won't be a problem. I will definitely get one. It's just that I didn't realize that we were that close to the line that we needed a minor variance. So there's no issues with it. Is an existing building that's been there for ever, really, and the use was the same as when I bought the place. So I didn't realize that it hadn't been. They did not have a building permit at one point. So I just want to get it legalized, basically.
Yep, Tim, go ahead.
Another question to you, Chair, to David, the planner on this. So if they don't have an existing permit and requiring a new permit be issued, how does that affect development charges or other charges that they could run into?
Through the chair, Member Cronin, that's a good question. So in the case of an accessory unit, in this type of situation, the township development charges, there is no DC for the township that would apply. Best of my knowledge, that also goes for the region. However, the two school boards, the public and the Catholic school boards, as far as I am aware, they would still levy development charges, but they do have some discretion in that regard. So essentially, township, region, there wouldn't be any, to my knowledge, but the two school boards may still levy DCs on that unit, because technically at this point it doesn't exist. And if Mr. Kurtz is retroactively pursuing a building permit to legalize, that would trigger review for development charges.
So a follow-up question there through the chair. So building permits, like, is there a point beyond which they become like, obviously the original house was built back in, they said, the 1890s. There was no building permit probably for that at that time. So I'm wondering why it affects this one, if it's a historical building, or at what point it becomes not historical and a permit would be required.
Through the chair, Member Cronin, we couldn't confirm that this unit was ever created through a building permit, and because the owner has come forward wishing to confirm its use through a certificate of occupancy, we can only do that through the building permit process. So at this point, it's just considered an accessory structure. We don't have any documentation to confirm that unit was ever legally created through building code, through the building permit process. So in order to recognize it actually as a use on the site, it has to go through the permit process, which then triggers review for development charges. So, does that help answer your question, Member Cronin?
Thank you to a point, because I guess in my mind boils down the age, because I go back to the original house, and if the house was built back in the 1890s, I'm wondering what the permit stage was. So I guess a bit of a dilemma as far as historical buildings get concerned, but reviewing it as a building permit will make sure it's safe for people to live in, so I understand that part, so I'm not opposed to a building permit, I just a little hung up on, you know, which needs a permit, and which it doesn't, and why it would trigger in this case, but from a safety point of view, it makes sense if you're close to the building permit stages, and they're looking at occupancy, it'll keep the building, up to current standards to make it a safe residence for someone, so with that, I am, you know, I'm not against the permits, just a little hung up on where they become applicable or not, but thank you for that.
You're welcome, Member Cronin, and I think it does boil down to the occupancy piece, that we can't confirm that it is safe to occupy because it was never put through that process, and this will ensure that can be the case moving forward, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Do any other members of the committee have any questions? Not looking like any. How would the committee like to handle this one? Tim?
My turn. I would move the minor variance application A 2822 for Brian Kurtz concerning subject property 1320 Mary Hill Road, requesting the following permit: minimum side yard setback 0.7 meters in settlement commercials for a detached structure containing accessory dwelling unit, whereas maximum setback 1.2 is required by section of bylaw, be approved, subject that the owner confirm the issuance of a building permit and the certificate of occupancy for detached accessory dwelling unit, 72 square meters.
Thanks, Tim. Do we have a seconder? Linda, thank you. All those in favor? And that's all of us, so that would be none opposed. So Brian, the motion has been passed. I just want to remind you of the appeal date, which ends November 9th, 2022.
Okay, thank you for your help, everybody, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. I'll mail out a copy of the decision to your attention then.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Charles, we can move to the minutes for September.
Okay, have the committee members had an opportunity to review the minutes as circulated from September 20th? And if so, any changes required? Linda?
No changes. I just want to thank Nancy for the update from the August in the September. That looks good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Anybody have a motion for the September 20th minutes? Hans?
I so move acceptance.
Thanks, Hans. And Tim, you'll second that. And then we'll do all those in favor. And that's all of us. So that means nobody will be opposed. So they're passed.
Perfect. And then under new business or other business, then I had circulated a proposed meeting calendar for 2023. I have included 4 meetings, January, February, March, and April. Just including April, you know, on the off chance, you know, something goes awry with appointments or whatever, just want to have that buffer built in. So just to note that I have moved those to the Monday night. As noted on that calendar, time would still be 4:30, and at this time they will still continue as virtual meetings. And of course, if that changes, then we'll proceed accordingly. So just looking for a motion on the adoption for those 4 meetings for 2023.
Linda?
I will move acceptance of the 4 meetings in 2023 for January, February, March, and April.
Thank you, Linda. A seconder, Tim? Great. We're going to do all those in favor? That's all of us, so nobody will be opposed to that one, Nancy.
Perfect. Thank you,
That's
everyone.
passed.
And I had no other new business. Your November packages are done. I will email them out to you tomorrow. We do have, I think it's a total of 6 applications, but a combination of some variance severances. And David will be handling that meeting on his own because I'm going to be on vacation. So be nice to him. I had no other new business. I don't know if David had anything to add to the meeting this evening.
Nothing further to add, but yeah, try to go easy because I'll be wearing 2 hats at the same time come next meeting. So
You need some new shoes, David, because you got some big shoes to fill.
Yes, I'll try my best.
Enjoy, Nancy.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah,
Say
Yes.
10 minutes of question.
have a good time.
I will.
Just, do we have one still out going to the Ontario Land Tribunal, or did I miss
Yeah, we
that
do.
one along the line?
There is still one. The Bloomingdale application is still at the tribunal. We've not received any updates.
Jim, sorry?
Thank you.
Jim, did you have a question?
Oh, I'm
Oh.
sorry, no, I was motion to my wife. I'm sorry
Oh.
about that.
Awesome.
I think that's all we have for this evening, Charles.
Great. So I will declare the Committee of Justice meeting adjourned.